Around 600 BC, the great city of Jerusalem was about to be destroyed, resulting in the historical captivity of the Jewish nation by Babylon. At this time, God gave preference to the Jews over every other race, calling them his chosen people. On the opposite side of that was God's disdain for black people due to their ancestor Ham. We'll come back to that. So God decided to save one particular Jewish family and let the rest be killed and enslaved. God picked a man named Lehi, I assume because of his awesome Santa Claus beard. An angelic visitor told Lehi to get the hell out of Jerusalem. Before leaving the Holy Land, Lehi's family needed reading material. To this end, Lehi's son Nephi killed a drunk man named Laban to acquire ancient scriptures. Did I mention Laban was unconscious when Nephi cut off his head, and that Nephi robbed the corpse of the sword? Anyways, armed with knowledge and a really awesome sword from a dead man, the family journeyed through the wilderness and sailed across the ocean to the American continent. Where their boat docked in America is still under debate. What is known is that they landed on a narrow neck of land that separated two larger lands. Although it has long been assumed that Panama was the landing point, DNA evidence proves no Jewish ancestry exists among the Central American natives. Oddly enough, Mormon scholars have now changed their theories. Now the common opinion is that Lehi sailed up the St. Lawrence River to Ontario, somehow neglecting to see land all around him on the banks. This may be because God really wanted Ontario, Canada to be the promised land. So on this narrow neck of land, the family had a falling out. See, two of the sons, Laman and Lemuel, were really bad eggs. They complained all the time, and even tried to kill their own siblings. God doesn't look kindly on attempted murder, or regular murder, unless it's done for stealing books and swords. God was really mad at Laman and Lemuel, for that murder thing. So he turned their kids black. These cursed descendants formed the Lamanite culture and took possession of the land to the south, probably Detroit or Chicago. And for some reason, these Lamanites walked around naked in below zero weather. But I digress. Nephi, the one from before who killed an unconscious drunk man and pillaged his corpse, he was God's favorite, so he got to keep his skin white. His descendants formed the Nephite culture and settled in the north, possibly Canada. Over time, the divided family formed two cultures, the Nephites and the Lamanites. The Nephites are the ones with the really awesome beards. These two cultures fought all the time. Somewhere down the line, Jesus visited these cultures and delivered the same speech he had at the Sermon on the Mount. Although identical, in almost every respect to the King James New Testament, keep in mind that Jesus later told Joseph Smith that the actual Sermon on the Mount was incorrectly written down, somehow in an identical fashion as the speech he gave to the Nephites and Lamanites. Just a really odd coincidence that doesn't reflect at all on Joseph Smith's prophetic claims. After Jesus left, these two cultures went back to fighting, then spontaneously lost the ability to read and write, and even somehow destroyed all written proof of their existence, except two sets of metal books. One prophet named Moroni took a compilation of their history and hid it in a stone box. This is the box that Joseph Smith discovered in the 1800s and used to form the Mormon Church. He took a lot of ideas from it, especially the seriousness of how much God just doesn't like black people. Now I know what you're thinking. At first, you may think that the Mormon Church is based on racist ideologies. Well, maybe you're right, but I'll let you decide. First, remember that the prophets teach us that black people aren't black because of some adaptation that allowed them to survive closer to the equator and backed up by every modern science. No, that would be racist. Black people are black because of a guy named Ham that pissed off God and had all his kids turned African. Apparently, the same thing happened to the people of India, Ecuador, Australia, Chile, and a lot of other places. The how and why of God's hatred of people living close to the equator is not fully understood. However, I'm sure the Mormon scholars are working on this. The important thing to remember is that in the 1970s, God stopped hating black people, so being a racist is no longer okay. I hope you found this video educational and possibly spiritually uplifting. Please do not let your kids watch this. Remember, God changes his mind sometimes, so make sure to listen to the prophet for updates. That's really important.